At the airport gate, my sister smacked me in front of everyone because I refused to hand over my first-class seat to Hawaii. So I canceled her whole trip and revealed every lie she'd ever told our parents. The moment her hand cracked against my cheek, my world went silent. I stood there, stunned, surrounded by strangers at the airport gate, but all I could feel was a sudden, chilling clarity. My older sister, Ava, thought she'd just ruined my trip. She had no idea she'd just handed me all the power. The air in that bustling terminal froze, 200 pairs of eyes now fixed on us. A gate agent, her face a mask of shock, reached slowly for her phone as a businessman nearby openly recorded the entire scene. "You selfish," Ava hissed, her face red and twisted. "I have kids. You're just going there alone to drink and party." My hand automatically flew to my cheek. But she was wrong. So incredibly wrong. I was about to use every bit of leverage I had. Let me back up 6 months. I work in pharmaceutical sales, and I'm good at it. Really good. Last year, I closed a deal that brought in $2.3 million for my company. My boss called me into his office on a Friday. I thought it was my annual review. Instead, he handed me an envelope. Inside was a certificate, a round-trip first-class ticket to Oahu, 5 nights at the Wailea Bay Resort, and a gift card for spending money. A top performer award. I actually cried right there. Not my proudest moment, but I'd been working 60-hour weeks for 18 months straight. My apartment was basically just a place I slept. My last real vacation had been a weekend trip to visit a college roommate 3 years ago. When I called my parents that night, my mother's first words were, "That's wonderful, honey. Can you take Ava and the kids?" I should have seen it coming. My sister, Ava, is 36, 3 years older than me. She married Caleb right out of college and had 3 kids before she turned 30. Caleb works in insurance, makes decent money. They own a 4-bedroom house in the suburbs, take the kids to an amusement park every other year, drive a new SUV. On paper, they're doing fine. In reality, Ava has spent the last decade making everything about her suffering. She's a martyr, and motherhood is her cross to bear. Every conversation somehow circles back to how hard her life is, how exhausted she is, how nobody appreciates her sacrifices. When I told her about the Oahu trip, her response was immediate. "Oh my God, that's perfect. The kids have been begging to go to Hawaii. We can split the hotel costs, right? Since your company is paying for you anyway." "Ava," I sighed. "It's a trip for one. It's my award for my performance at work. But you could easily share the room. The kids can sleep on the floor. They won't mind. Caleb and I really need this. Do you know how long it's been since we had a vacation? You went to Punta Cana last spring. That wasn't a vacation. That was Caleb's company retreat. I had to attend dinners and smile at his boring colleagues while watching the kids by myself all day. This would be an actual break." I held firm. This was my trip, my reward, my first real vacation in years. Ava pouted but seemed to accept it. Then, 3 months before the trip, she called me sobbing. Caleb had surprised her with tickets to Oahu the same week as my trip. Different hotel, economy seats, but they'd be on the island at the same time. What a coincidence. We could meet up for dinners, maybe share a day at the beach. I felt suspicious, but kept it to myself. Oahu is a popular destination. It could be legitimate. 2 weeks before departure, Ava called with a problem. Their credit card had been compromised, and the bank froze their accounts while investigating fraud. They couldn't access their money for the trip, couldn't pay for the hotel or rental car. Could I help them out? Just until the bank sorted everything out. She'd pay me back immediately. I was at my desk when she called. My colleague, Chloe, was in the next cubicle. She'd heard enough of my family drama over the years that she gave me a look when I glanced her way. "How much?" I asked Ava. $4,000 would cover everything. I swear the bank said it would be resolved in a week, 10 days max $4,000. I barely had it. I'd been saving for a new car since mine was making concerning noises, but technically I could spare it. Chloe was shaking her head vigorously, making slashing motions across her throat. I need to think about it, I told Ava. Think about it? I'm your sister. What's there to think about? Do you want me to lose the deposits? Do you want to ruin this vacation for my children? Something about the way she said it made me pause. I told her I'd call her back and hung up. Then I did something I probably should have done years ago. I called Caleb's work number directly. Hey Caleb, it's me. Quick question about the Hawaii trip. There was a long pause. What trip? My stomach dropped. The Hawaii trip in 2 weeks. The one Ava said you surprised her with? Another pause. Longer this time. I have no idea what you're talking about. I didn't book any trip to Oahu. We talked for 20 minutes. Caleb had no idea Ava had planned anything. He certainly hadn't booked tickets or a hotel. When I mentioned the $4,000 she needed, he actually laughed, but it was a bitter sound. Let me guess, credit card fraud. That's a new one. Usually, it's that she loaned money to a friend in crisis or the kids' school is having an emergency fundraiser. That's when I learned the truth. For years, Ava had been scamming money from everyone around her. Small amounts, usually nothing that would raise red flags individually. Caleb's parents thought they were funding the kids' college accounts. That money went to Ava's online shopping habit. My parents believed they were helping with medical bills that insurance didn't cover. Ava and Caleb's insurance was fine, and she pocketed the difference. Caleb himself only found out 6 months ago when his mother mentioned the college fund during a birthday dinner. We've been in counseling, Caleb told me quietly. She promised she'd stop. She swore the lying was over. I thanked him for his honesty and told him I'd handle it. Then I called Ava back and said no to the loan. She screamed at me for 20 minutes before hanging up. That night, I got text messages from my mother. Ava had called her crying, saying I'd refused to help her in a crisis, that I was selfish and cruel, that I'd always been jealous of her family. Could I please reconsider? Family helps family. I didn't respond. Instead, I started documenting everything. Every lie Ava had told about me over the years. Every time she'd manipulated situations to make herself look better. Every instance of her playing the victim while making me the villain. I had emails, text messages, screenshots of social media posts. I created a folder on my laptop titled The Truth About Ava. The night before my flight, my mother called. Honey, I have a huge favor to ask. My shoulders tensed. What is it? Ava's flight to Oahu got changed to economy at the last minute. Some kind of error with a booking. She's absolutely devastated. And you know how hard she has it with the kids. Is there any way you could swap your first-class seat with her? Just one way. Maybe she could really use something special after everything she's been through lately. I closed my eyes. Mom, this is my seat. I earned it. I know, sweetheart, but you're going alone. You'll be fine in economy. Ava has been so stressed, and this would mean the world to her. Besides, it's only a few hours. You're young and healthy. You can handle it. The answer is no. My mother's tone shifted. I really wish you'd think about someone other than yourself for once. Your sister needs this. I hung up before I said something I'd regret. The next morning at the airport, I arrived early. I checked in, went through security, and settled into a coffee shop near my gate with a book. My flight didn't board for another hour. Then I saw them. Ava, Caleb, and their 3 kids walking toward gate 47. My gate. Ava was scanning the waiting area, clearly looking for someone. When her eyes landed on me, she smiled and waved like we'd planned this all along. I didn't wave back. She approached with her family in tow. The kids looked confused. Auntie. Mom said we'd see you here. Isn't it so cool we're on the same flight? Lily, the oldest, beamed. My blood pressure was rising. Ava, what are you doing here? Well, after everything fell through with our trip, Caleb's parents generously offered to pay for our flights. Wasn't that sweet? We couldn't get the same hotel as you, but we'll be on the island together. The kids are so excited. Caleb wouldn't meet my eyes. The kids, Lily, Noah, and Ethan, were bouncing with energy, talking about swimming and building sand castles. That's great, I said flatly. Have a nice flight. I went back to my book, but Ava didn't leave. She sent Caleb and the kids to get snacks, then sat down next to me uninvited. So, here's the thing, she began, her voice dripping with false sweetness. The kids have never flown first class before. It would be such a special memory for them. Since you're going alone anyway, would you consider trading your seat with one of us? Maybe me, since I could use the rest, or we could let each of the kids sit up there for part of the flight. No, Ava. Come on, don't be like that. It's just a seat. It's my seat. The answer is no. Her expression hardened. You know what your problem is? You've always been selfish. Ever since we were kids, everything had to be about you. Mom and Dad's attention. The bigger bedroom, the better Christmas presents. Now you get this fancy trip, and you can't even share a little bit of it with your family. I stood up, gathering my things. I'm going to wait at the gate. She followed me, her voice rising. I'm your sister. I've been there for you your whole life, and you can't do this one tiny thing for me? People were starting to stare. I kept walking. At the gate, boarding hadn't started yet. I found a seat far from the crowd and pulled out my phone. Ava marched up to me, and Caleb trailed behind, looking miserable. This is ridiculous, Ava announced loudly. You're being completely unreasonable. Please lower your voice. No, I will not lower my voice. You're sitting in first class by yourself while I'm crammed in economy with 3 children. Do you know how hard it is to manage kids on a long flight? Do you have any idea how exhausting my life is? A gate agent approached. Ma'am, I need you to calm down or we'll have to call security. Ava ignored her, focused entirely on me. Give me your seat. Just give it to me. You don't need it. Ava, let's go sit down, Caleb tried, touching her arm. She shook him off violently. No! She's going to give me that seat because she's my sister and she actually gives a damn about me for once in her life. I stood up, my voice calm but ice cold. I'm not giving you my seat. I earned this trip. You lied about having a trip booked. You tried to scam me out of $4,000. And now I find out you manipulated Mom and Dad into giving you $5,000 from their retirement savings by telling them I invited you and just needed help with the flights. I'm done. Her face went purple. How dare you? I never. How do you even know that? I called Mom last night after Caleb told me about your pattern of lying. She was happy to tell me all about how generous I was being, inviting my sister's family to join me in Oahu. Funny thing is, I never invited you. You told them I did. Caleb's eyes went wide. Ava's mouth opened and closed, and genuine panic flashed across her face. That's... Caleb is confused. He forgot about the booking. That's all. Stop lying. The gate area had gone quiet. Everyone was watching us now. Ava took a step closer, her finger jabbing toward my face. You've always thought you were better than me. Little Miss Career Woman with her fancy job and her first-class seat. Well, let me tell you something, ma'am. Step back, the gate agent warned. You're going to die alone. No husband, no kids, nobody to take care of you. Just your precious job and your selfish little life. Meanwhile, I have a family who loves me and needs me. So yes, I deserve that seat more than you do. Something inside me snapped. You want my seat after lying to me, stealing from mom and dad, manipulating everyone around you? After making my life hell for years because you can't stand that I'm happy, you actually think you deserve what I worked for? She moved fast, faster than I expected. Her hand connected with my cheek in a sharp crack that echoed through the gate area. Time seemed to freeze. My face stung. My ears rang. People gasped and several jumped to their feet. The gate agent was already on her radio. Security to gate 47 immediately. Caleb grabbed Ava's arm. What is wrong with you? But I was done being the victim of her tantrums. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app, my hands surprisingly steady despite the adrenaline coursing through me. You want to know something interesting, Ava? My voice came out calm, almost conversational. Caleb's parents didn't pay for your tickets. She froze. What? When Caleb told them you'd lied about the Oahu trip, they were furious. They didn't offer to pay for anything. So, I'm really curious. How are you here? Her face went from red to pale. Caleb's parents. I already knew the answer because I'd called my mother last night after some more digging. Ava had told our parents that I'd invited her family to join me in Oahu, but that the flights were expensive. Could they help with the costs? Just this once? It would mean so much to the grandkids. Our parents, retired and on a fixed income, had withdrawn $5,000 from their savings. I looked at Caleb. Did you know your flights cost my parents $5,000 they can't afford? His face told me he didn't. The kids, sensing something was very wrong, had started crying. Caleb's voice came out strangled. $5,000? Ava, you told me your parents offered to help with $1,000 as a gift. You said the rest came from our savings. It's complicated, Caleb. You don't understand. What don't I understand? That you lied to me again? That you're stealing from your elderly parents? Their youngest, Ethan, started wailing louder. Noah, the middle child, grabbed his father's leg. Lily, the oldest, looked at her mother with something like recognition in her eyes, like she'd seen this pattern before and was only now old enough to name it. I felt a stab of sympathy for Caleb and those kids. They were collateral damage in Ava's desperate need to compete with a sister who'd never been competing with her. Ma'am, we're going to need you to calm down, one of the security officers said, stepping closer to Ava. She was hyperventilating now, her chest heaving. I can't breathe. I think I'm having a heart attack. She's having a panic attack, Caleb said flatly. She does this when she's caught in a lie. A small crowd had gathered at a respectful distance. Phones out, some recording. I could already imagine this going viral. Woman has meltdown at airport gate after assaulting sister. The internet would tear her apart. Part of me wanted that. Part of me still loved her enough to dread it. The gate agent returned with a wheelchair and a bottle of water. Ma'am, I need you to sit down. We're going to take you to the medical center. No, I'm fine. I just need to get on this plane. But she wasn't fine. Sweat beaded on her forehead despite the aggressive airport air conditioning. Her hands trembled violently. When she tried to stand, her knees buckled. Caleb caught her, his expression unreadable. The man clearly loved her, or had loved her. Watching that love die in real time was more painful than I'd expected. "Ava, sit down before you fall down," he said quietly. She collapsed into the wheelchair. For just a moment, she wasn't the manipulative sister who'd made my life hell. She was the girl who'd held my hand on the first day of middle school. The teenager who'd let me sleep in her room when I had nightmares. The young woman who'd asked me to be her maid of honor. Wait, no. I'd never been married. She'd asked me to be her maid of honor, and I'd spent $3,000 on her wedding. She'd never returned the favor because there'd been no favor to return. Even my nostalgia was contaminated by her lies. "I'll be pressing charges," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. Ava's head snapped up. "You can't. Please. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. You make me so crazy sometimes. You always have to win. This isn't about winning, Ava. This is about consequences." One of the security officers pulled out a notepad. "Can you give us your statement, ma'am?" But before I could respond, Caleb held up his hand. "Wait, please. Just give us 1 minute." He knelt beside Ava's wheelchair, speaking low enough that I couldn't hear him. She shook her head frantically, tears streaming down her face. He kept talking. She kept refusing. Finally, he pulled out his phone and showed her something on the screen. Her face crumpled entirely. Caleb stood and walked over to me, leaving enough distance that we could talk without Ava hearing. "That's my lawyer's number on the screen. I just told her if she doesn't come clean to your parents right now, immediately, I'm filing for divorce tonight and going for full custody. I'll tell the court about the financial manipulation, the lies, all of it. She'll lose the kids." "Would you really do that?" "I found out last week she's been stealing from her own children's college funds. Money my parents deposited directly. She's been transferring it to a secret account and spending it on God knows what. So, yes, I'd really do that. I'm done protecting her from herself." My anger toward Caleb softened. He was a victim here, too. Just trying to hold his family together with someone determined to tear it apart. "What do you need from me?" I asked. "Don't press charges. Not yet. Give her this one chance to make it right. If she doesn't," he trailed off, his jaw tight. "If she doesn't, I'll testify against her myself in whatever case you bring. But those kids don't need to watch their mother get arrested today. Let them have this trip, even if it's a disaster. They've been looking forward to it for weeks." I looked at the 3 children. Lily was comforting her siblings, rubbing their backs, speaking softly. She was already taking on the parentification that came from having an unstable mother. I recognized it because I'd done the same thing. Smoothing over Ava's drama, making excuses, keeping the peace. "One chance," I said. "She calls Mom and Dad right now. Tells them everything and pays back every cent to them and to me. If she doesn't, or if she tries to manipulate the story, all bets are off." Caleb walked back to Ava. More urgent whispering. She looked at me with something between hatred and desperation. The security officers waited while she made the call. One of them had mentioned something about federal charges for assault in an airport, and the weight of that seemed to finally break through her defenses. "Ma'am, we need you to come with us," one officer told Ava. No. This is insane. She's my sister. It was just a family argument. You assaulted her in an airport. That's a federal offense." The color drained from her face. Caleb looked like he might throw up. "I want to press charges," I said clearly. "You can't," Ava shrieked. "We have kids. Our flight." The officer turned to me. "Well, we'll need you to come file a report." "Wait." I looked at Ava's panicked face and felt years of accumulated resentment crystallized into pure, cold clarity. I'll make you a deal. Everyone waited. You have 30 seconds to call Mom and Dad and tell them the truth. All of it. Every lie you told about this trip, about needing money, about me. You tell them about the $4,000 you tried to scam from me. The $5,000 you took from them under false pretenses. Everything. I can't. 20 seconds, or I press charges. You miss your flight, and I tell them myself anyway. Caleb handed her his phone. Do it. She tried calling, but her hands shook so badly she dropped the phone twice. Finally, it connected. Mom, it's Ava. I need to tell you something. I watched as she confessed. Not everything. She tried to minimize, to make excuses, but Caleb took the phone and filled in the gaps. My mother's voice came through the speaker, shocked and hurt. When it was done, Ava was crying. The kids were crying. Caleb looked like his world had ended. Your flight is boarding in 10 minutes, I told them. I suggest you get on it. When you get back, you'll pay Mom and Dad back every cent. You'll pay me back for the $2,000 I loaned you last year for the roof repair that never happened, and you'll get professional help. The confession call had been brutal to witness. My mother's voice had gone from concerned to confused to horrified as the truth spilled out. Ava had tried to maintain some dignity at first, framing her lies as misunderstandings and miscommunications, but Caleb took the phone from her twice to correct the record. She didn't miscommunicate. She lied. She told us one thing, told you another, and pocketed the difference. This has been going on for years. My father had gotten on the line at some point. His voice, usually warm and booming, had been quiet, defeated. Why would you do this to us, Ava? We would have helped you if you needed money. We've always helped you. That's the problem, Dad, she'd sobbed. You've always helped me. Do you know what that's like? To be 36 years old and still need your parents to bail you out? To watch my little sister succeed at everything while I'm drowning? I just wanted. I don't know what I wanted. You wanted to hurt me, I'd said, unable to stay silent any longer. Every time something good happened to me, you needed to take it away or diminish it. This trip was mine. I earned it. And you couldn't stand that. Ava had looked at me then. Really looked at me. And something in her expression had shifted. You're right. I couldn't stand it. I haven't been able to stand it for years. You got to be the smart one, the successful one, the one who made her own choices. I got married at 22 because I was pregnant and scared. I had 3 kids by 30 because that's what Caleb wanted. I gave up my degree, my career plans, everything. And you got to keep all of it. I didn't take anything from you, I'd said. You made your choices. I made mine. I know that. Logically, I know that. But it doesn't stop the resentment. It doesn't stop me from feeling like you got the better deal. My mother had started crying then, asking where she'd gone wrong as a parent, how she'd missed all of this. My father had tried to comfort her while simultaneously demanding answers from Ava. The whole conversation had lasted nearly 40 minutes. The gate agent had held the flight, which was practically unheard of, but enough passengers had witnessed the incident that she quietly told me they wanted to avoid any further drama. They'd rather delay 5 minutes than deal with more. Now, standing at the gate with security watching and passengers staring, I felt oddly empty. The revenge I'd imagined had been swift and clean. This was messy and sad. How am I supposed to pay all that back? She sobbed. Sell the stuff you bought with the money you stole. Get a job. Figure it out. Those are my terms for not pressing charges. The security officers looked at me. I shook my head. I wasn't filing a report. They gave Ava a warning that went on her record anyway, just for the incident. If she caused any more problems, she'd be banned from flying with this airline. As they walked away to board their flight, not together, the airline split them up as a precaution. Ava looked back at me once. I'd never seen her look so small. The gate agent upgraded Caleb's seat to sit with his kids, putting Ava in a middle seat at the back by herself. Small consolation, but I'd take it. Lily, the oldest kid, was the last to board. She stopped in front of me, her little brother's hands in hers. "I'm sorry my mom hit you. That was wrong." "Thank you, sweetie. It's not your fault." "I know, but I'm still sorry." She hesitated, then added quietly, "You were right about everything you said. I hear her talk about you at home. She's really mean sometimes." My heart broke a little. "Your mom is dealing with some hard stuff. That doesn't make it okay, but it's not about you. You and your brothers are good kids." Lily nodded solemnly, suddenly looking much older than 11. Then she led Noah and Ethan onto the plane. I watched them go, feeling the weight of years lift off my shoulders, mixed with the heaviness of what I'd just done. Exposing Ava had been necessary, but that didn't make it feel good. There was no triumphant music, no slow-motion walk away from an explosion. Just me standing at a gate with a red mark on my face, watching my sister's family board a plane for a vacation that was probably going to be miserable. A woman approached me as I waited for my boarding group. She was maybe 60, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. "I saw what happened. I just want you to know you handled that with more grace than most people would have. Setting boundaries with family is the hardest thing in the world." "Thank you. I'm not sure I handled it well, but I handled it. That's all any of us can do." She patted my arm and walked away. When my group was called for boarding, I walked down the jetway with my head held high. The first-class flight attendant saw my face, still red from the slap, and brought me ice wrapped in a cloth napkin before we'd even taken off. "Rough day?" she asked kindly. "You have no idea." She smiled sympathetically. "Well, you're in first class now. Let us take care of you for the next 8 hours. Champagne, warm nuts?" "Both," I said, surprising myself with a laugh. "Definitely both." The flight was everything I'd imagined. A spacious seat that reclined into a bed, good food, free drinks, attentive service. I watched 3 movies, slept for 2 hours, and didn't think about Ava once. Oahu was paradise. I snorkeled, hiked, ate amazing food, and spent hours just sitting on the beach reading. I turned off my phone for 3 days. The first full day in Oahu, I woke up without an alarm for the first time in months. No meetings to prep for. No emails to answer. No family drama to navigate. Just the sound of waves and the warm breeze through my open balcony door. I ordered room service, French toast with macadamia nuts and the best coffee I'd ever tasted, and ate it on my private lanai while watching dolphins play in the distance. The hotel was spectacular, all open-air luxury and tropical flowers. My room had a soaking tub that overlooked the ocean, and I made a mental note to use it later. The resort offered a guided snorkeling tour, and I signed up immediately. Our guide was a local woman named Malia, who had grown up on the island and knew every reef and current like old friends. She led our small group to a spot where sea turtles gathered, and I floated in the clear blue water, watching these ancient creatures glide beneath me with a grace that made me want to cry. "They've been coming here for thousands of years," Malia told us. "Through storms, through changes, they always come back. They know where they belong." I thought about that a lot over the next few days. Knowing where you belong. I'd spent so long trying to belong in Ava's good graces, in my parents' approval, that I'd forgotten to figure out where I actually fit. On the second day, I hiked the Manoa Falls Trail through a bamboo forest that felt like stepping into another world. The path was challenging, for miles with significant elevation gain, but every step felt like meditation. Other hikers nodded in passing, sharing brief smiles and words of encouragement. Nobody knew me here. Nobody knew my sister had slapped me at an airport or that my family was imploding back home. I was just another tourist, sweaty and happy, chasing waterfalls. The trail ended at Manoa Falls, a 400-foot cascade that thundered into a pool below. I sat on a rock for an hour, just listening to the water and feeling the mist on my skin. A couple from Germany asked me to take their photo, then offered to take mine. I almost said no. I never liked photos of myself, but something made me agree. Later, looking at that picture on my phone, I saw a woman I barely recognized, sunburned, smiling, standing in front of a waterfall with wet hair and muddy hiking boots. Happy, genuinely, uncomplicatedly happy. That night, I dressed up and went to the resort's fancy restaurant alone. The hostess looked concerned when I said it was just me. But I insisted I preferred it. They seated me at a small table with an ocean view, and I ordered the tasting menu with wine pairings. Eating alone in a nice restaurant used to make me self-conscious. I'd see couples and families and feel like everyone was judging the sad woman dining solo. But that night, I didn't care. I savored every course, chatted with the sommelier about the wines, and stayed for dessert, even though I was already full. At the next table, a woman about my age was dining alone, too. We made eye contact and smiled, raising our wine glasses in a silent toast to whatever had brought us both here. On day 3, I tried surfing. I was terrible at it, spent more time underwater than on the board, but my instructor, a patient guy named Kai, kept encouraging me. One more time. You almost had it. I never did catch a wave properly, but lying on that board between attempts, feeling the ocean rock me like a baby, was more peaceful than anything I'd experienced in years. Kai told me he'd been surfing since he was 4, and that the ocean had taught him everything important: patience, humility, joy. The wave doesn't care about your job or your problems, he said. It's just a wave. You either ride it or you don't. Either way, another one's coming. Simple wisdom, but it stuck with me. I kept my phone off for the full 3 days I promised myself. No family drama, no work emails, no social media. Just me, the ocean, and the kind of peace I hadn't felt in years. On the evening of the 3rd day, as I watched the sunset from my balcony, I finally powered it back on. The messages flooded in, 72 of them, and my stomach dropped. But I made myself a drink from the minibar, sat on my balcony, and went through them one by one. My father had called twice, his voice shaky on the voicemails. Honey, we had no idea. Your mother is so upset. We should have listened to you years ago. We owe you an apology. My mother's message was tearful. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I believed her stories about you, and I should have known better. Can we talk when you're home? Caleb sent a long text explaining that they'd cut the trip short, flying home after 2 days. Ava had spent most of the time in the hotel room crying. He was filing for separation and taking the kids to his parents' house while Ava got help. Chloe texted, "Please tell me you didn't give her your seat." I sent back a selfie of me in first class with a champagne flute. Her response was 3 flame emojis and Queen. But the message that surprised me most was from Ava herself, sent the morning after we'd arrived in Oahu. I'm sorry. I know you won't believe me, but I am. I don't know when I became this person. Caleb is leaving me. Mom and Dad are devastated. I've lost everything because I couldn't just let you have something nice. I'm going to get help. Real help. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I wanted you to know that you were right about everything. I didn't respond. Maybe someday I would, but that day wasn't today. On my last night in Oahu, I sat on my balcony watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. I thought about all the years I'd spent trying to keep the peace, trying to be the good daughter and good sister, absorbing Ava's cruelty because that's what family did. But family doesn't mean accepting mistreatment. Family doesn't mean sacrificing your own happiness to maintain a comfortable lie. Real family, the kind worth having, builds each other up instead of tearing each other down. My phone buzzed with a text from my father. Your mother and I want to take you to dinner when you're home. Our treat. We have a lot to make up for. I smiled and typed back, I'd like that. The sunset continued its slow descent into the ocean, and for the first time in longer than I could remember, everything felt right. 6 months later, I'm still in therapy, not because of trauma from the incident, but because I realized I needed help understanding why I'd let things get so bad for so long. My parents and I have rebuilt our relationship on honesty. They're more cautious now, more willing to question the stories they hear. Ava is in treatment for what her therapists called a cluster B personality disorder. She moved to a smaller apartment and got a job as a receptionist. Caleb has full custody while she works on herself. The kids see her during unsupervised visits. She's paying back the money in small installments. It'll take years. We don't talk, but my father tells me she asks about me sometimes. Maybe one day we'll have some kind of relationship again, but it won't be the one we had before. That sister, the one who slapped me at an airport gate, is someone I've learned to leave in the past. As for me, I got promoted to regional manager last month. Another trip is in my future. Rome. This time first class again. And if anyone asks to trade seats, the answer will be the same. What's the hardest boundary you've ever had to set with someone you love?